Good afternoon, everybody. Check, check, radio check. So without further ado, this is going to be a little different than what I normally do. Normally, I put together a PowerPoint. This is going to be a little bit more interactive. MoneyTrax is a system that I am a master mentor in, and really it's designed to create and allow conversations and education for folks. And this first part, the GPS, is really four questions that we should be asking ourselves to sort of get a gauge of how are we doing for retirement. And it gives us a starting point. And then as we start to build upon those conversations for everybody's unique circumstances, you'll see that we can move over to something that we call the personal economic model. And that is also a tool within this MoneyTrax system that allows us to communicate and sort of massage or anticipate changes through time. So I'm going to take us through. My goal is once we open up the software, that I'll circle back to different calculators. There are well over 100 calculators within this software. So I don't like to do too deep of a dive too quickly. I want to make sure everybody's tracking. And then from there, we can build upon it. And then maybe, if somebody's interested in seeing, hey, how would things look for them? It's different than Retirement Analyzer. Retirement Analyzer, which I used, a lot of you taking you through. I like it really, really because it's a pretty accurate cash flow model. Where MoneyTrax and this calculator differ is something that we refer to as lost opportunity costs. It allows us to start to see, hey, some of the decisions that we're making can have significant long-term impact on our total family's wealth as we go forward. So as we go through this, bear with me. If you don't understand, certainly email me and we'll go from there. All right. So Circle of Wealth, there's a lot of calculators. These are just some of my favorites that I use. And what happens is we're able to go through, and the conversation we're going to do today is financial GPS. So as I bring that up, the four most important financial questions everyone needs to know. And the first is the rate of return. Do you know the rate of return you need to earn on your savings and investment dollars to be able to live in the future like you live today? Adjusted for inflation and have enough money to last until your life expectancy. So that's a pretty big and tall order. And that's why I think a lot of times, these do-it-yourself calculators are misleading because I don't think they take all the variables into consideration. The next question we want to ask ourselves is, do we know how much we need to save on a monthly or annual basis to accumulate enough money by your retirement to live at the same standard and living that you enjoy today? Sometimes I know that, when we first start working and maybe we work for an employer and they offer some type of retirement account and maybe they're going to match and then we're going through life and maybe, we got kids, we don't got kids, maybe we're feeling we're behind. This is one that, when I used to click this, it used to be also known as retirement ready or not. When I would click on that button, it can be a scary number. Because when it can almost be depressing that the amount that you have to start to put away so aggressively now may not be what you thought. And, and it seems almost monumental. Maybe we can't get there, but it is important to know, are we on track? The next is when to retire. Do you know how long you will need to work before you can retire and have enough money to live until your life expectancy? Right. So this is where, sometimes people will say, well, I'm going to take Social Security at 62. I'm going to, and they sometimes will equate that to, well, but I'm actually going to retire at 67. And there's pros and cons to doing that. And you cannot use water cooler advice or your next door neighbor's situation to determine when you should collect Social Security. Everybody's circumstances are different. But again, when you retire is completely up to you. But will your money last based on the projections. And then lastly, retirement lifestyle. Do we want to maintain the lifestyle that we're currently enjoying while we're employed? And then after that, we say, hey, now I've cut off all the income, and this will become obvious on this next slide. I think, that's why I really like this calculator, because I can demonstrate what happens when we hang up our cleats. And so those are the four questions that we should ask ourselves, and we can help you to answer as we're going forward. And now I'm going to take us through something called the PEM model. Now, this is a hypothetical example. This is something I am not going to do a full explanation today, because it would just be, we'd tap out because, our vessels would be full. But there are some things that, as we went through here, I want you to understand that I took me and we named this person Chris and this other spouse Kristen, earned income. And on tab 1, I went through and put in all kinds of particular assumptions, right? I said, hey, this is the inflated rate. This is based on past history, right? The inflation rate based on my age, right? I put in an effective tax rate, 30%, capital tax rate, 15%. And then in this example, I said, okay, Chris is an owner self. And then you said, hey, base salary is 100 grand and maybe gets 20 grand in bonus. And then the spouse, Kristen, notice position here, boss, right? Base salary is 80. And so the combined income for the two of them is 200,000. And then they have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. So that is this hypothetical example. So you'll see down here, age 58. Now, the reason I like this, and again, my background, Navy vet, I went in, a lot of you may know, to be Navy SEAL, was not able to become a Navy SEAL because of my eyes. But when I started to look at like the career path I was going to choose in the Navy, I took mechanical engineering. I was taught and studied damage control, firefighting, HVAC systems, plumbing, sheet metal, all of these things taught me how to pipes and valves and how things worked, right? So I intuitively gravitate to this model because I think for me, it explains. So we got some tanks here, right? And right now you see this one, remaining income potential, 5.1 million. What this is saying is our combined income until we turn off income. And notice, this is what I was going to say, watch the model. As soon as I say we stop working, went away. And that's what we have to understand. So when you're saving for retirement, we want to make sure that we've redirected a portion of our earned income into some of these other tanks. And notice that these tanks right now say risk, safe. I'm not going to get into these other tanks today. These are mortgages and second properties and future capital expenses. I will do that on another training call. But I just wanted everybody to see that this is the type of things that we can start to take you through. Now watch, 5.1 in 1 year, I have 1 year less till retirement. And I said in this example, age 67. So I'm going to click on this to 59 and notice that went down to 4.9. This has only got so much money left in this, and it slowly starts to decrease. And as we start to now, why did that drop so quickly? Because I stopped working at my age 67 in this model. And then I said, hey, listen, you know what? Then my spouse stopped working and all we have coming in is Social Security. And those are some of the things we can start to look at is, will we have enough to live on? And then again, this is the pipeline is total income and what portion of that is taxable. And notice that, still nothing in the tanks to help us to maintain lifestyle. Now we're living on less unless we make adjustments now while we're working. So, this is what I wanted to take us through today. It wasn't going to be overly complex, but I wanted everybody to see that we can start to put in, the income. I can start to put in Social Security, Christian Social Security. I can inflate it. ultimately we can get into a model called spending game. Spending game is, for lack of a better word, it's like building a watch. I can really get into the weeds with this and take a bunch of really deep variables into consideration. And that's where at some point in time, I will start to teach everybody that shows up to these calls the impact of lost opportunity costs. And I may go ahead and just give you the definition of that now. So when we pay a tax that we did not have to pay, right? So we're working and we have an investment and that dollar, right? And let's say that dollar earned a rate of return and reasonable rate of return 5-6%. And depending on our tax bracket, in my example, 30%. 30% means that I'm going to net, let's just say you earn 5, maybe I earn 4, 3.8. Well, that difference of 1 to 1.2% that goes to taxes on the surface doesn't seem like a lot, but over time compounded to life expectancy. And that's what this model allows us to do, is to look at life expectancy. Now, in my model, I think I made it to age 87, and Kristen in this example made it to 91. So as we're looking at this, how much money will start to be redirected back to the federal government or state governments in the form of taxes? So you go, okay, you've spoken about taxes, but what's lost opportunity cost? Well, when we pay a tax that we did not have to pay, right, because of the environment that we saved in, and that could be a 401k, that could be a 403b, that could be a tax sheltered plan, right? So something to that effect. Not only did we lose the tax, but we lost what that tax could have earned. And that's lost opportunity. And it can be a significant amount. And we've seen it on cases as we start to do deep dives and recapturing that lost opportunity cost as part of the conversations that we can have on a go forward. So like I said, this has been a while since I've talked about, Circle Wealth. We're going to, one day we'll have a conversation on the Circle Talk. We just did the financial GPS. Maybe I'll do a 10-minute lesson on life insurance. And you go, whoo. But there are vehicles or conversations that typically I like to have with clients to help them to start to see things that I've learned along the way. And at the end of the day, not everybody is naturally will gravitate to some of the solutions that we might come up with, but at least we're not going forward blindly. And I think it's really important, if you're saving in a 401k at work, if you're saving in some type of tax deferred vehicle, one of the calculators that they have here, let's see if I have it saved in my favorites. If not, I'll bring it up. I'm going to move this, is this history chart. And a lot of people are not familiar with tax history. So when I come over here, there we go. This right here, a lot of people are not aware that our taxes in the past have been as high as 94%. Here's where we are now. So when we look at the average, the median, and we see that right here, we're just in the middle, right? Right here, we're below this. So if we're deferring all of our funds to a point in time in the future where we're going to be in a higher tax bracket, we might be making a small mathematical mistake. And so this is part of the conversations we will have. And that's what I really wanted everybody to just see today. So without further ado, I'm going to finish up my slide here for compliance purposes. I'm going to turn around and play this one more time and take us through. And then again, if you have questions, please reach out. I want to thank everybody for being on the call each and every week. Next week, I think I have either stocks and bonds, or maybe I'll bring up Circle Wealth or a 10-minute lesson. It's been a while since I've done some of those topics.